I should probably have the splash screen on when I'm starting the stream, but hey, you get what you get. All right. Welcome to the stream, everyone. All four of you that's been waiting. All right. Let me know that I'm coming through loud and clear. Say hi if you're in the chat. Say hi if you're watching, so I know you're in the chat. And let's get going with this swell exploration of Electric SQL. The stream is supported and sponsored by Electric SQL, and what they want from me is that I continue to use and explore their new paradigm for databases. So there are a few different things that I think we might get into. And one of those is potentially doing some operational transformation, which is this fancy way of building collaborative document editing. So, for example, you can see this thing, Delta Elixir or Text Delta. What is Delta Doc? List Delta, Map Delta, I haven't seen those. Don't seem quite so built out as Text Delta. These are libraries that are compatible with the Quill.js approach to collaborative editing. Quill.js is a powerful, rich text editor. So it do this, and has support for a bunch of stuff. One of those things is collaboration. So they create deltas when you're editing text, and they can be used to reconstruct text in multiple different locations. Warning, the stream's current bitrate is lower than the recommended. Guess I will try bumping that a little bit then. All right. Hopefully that will let YouTube know that I am sending proper and appropriate bit rates, and they will stop complaining. Now, it is a little bit unusual that there's literally no one watching. I'll keep going, but I find it a bit strange. So if you start watching, do sound off in the chat, because YouTube is telling me that there is no one here aside from me. So anyway, hey Norland. I think YouTube might be a bit misguided about the number of watchers. At least one is here, and it claims 0, so that seems appropriate. So essentially, I have two ideas: live document editing. Try to add a new schema to our existing app, the same one we pushed out to Fly, where we register operational transformation changes as lines in the database, and then we use that to, in a live view, reconstruct a document and make that editable. That can be quite involved. So whether we achieve it during this session is debatable. Or we could dig in a little bit into the code of the sidecar. So, or the code we're using in the sidecar. So I'd love to know kind of how complex it would be to implement the stuff they have implemented in JavaScript, but implemented in Elixir instead. I think we can do a quick sort of spelunking session into that without necessarily going all the way. Excuse the cough and the sniffles. It's just had a bit of a cold. Adapter, index, auth, bridge, drivers, frameworks, migrators, notifiers, satellite. So many things. Client. Yeah. Nah. Probably not. Seems like a lot. Not sure I want to do this. Alright, that seems like a lot of work, so probably not that. If there's anything else that you're curious for me to do, it would also... How hard can it be, indeed? Quite difficult, probably. That's why there's a company doing this. But we have a number of options for what we could do with our little application here. Oh, no. Updating Electric Sidecar. Did I update Electric Sidecar? Scary thought. So if we bring up this thing, just make sure this is up and running. Still works, seems like. Now then. I wonder how hard it is to generate a delta on changes to just the text area. I know it can be a little bit annoying to install Quill.js, but it's probably the right thing to do. Yeah, let's go for the whole document thing. I think we'll start with just bringing in Quill. Oh yeah, we'll do the dirtiest variant we can. We will use the CDN version. Oh, well, Quill Snow and Quill.js as well, maybe. Let's see, live view, ignore element. So, I think it's Phoenix update ignore, right? Yeah, so we probably want live view to not touch our fancy editor. So that's what I'm gonna do. Let's create a new live view. I'm not gonna be so fancy as to create. Why are these called index? What are they doing in the router that I'm not usually doing? Oh, they are actually using them like this. Well, I guess you can. So I'm gonna change this then to document live. And then probably not .index, just document live. Hold on, there. So let's see if we can write one of these from scratch. Admin web dot. I wonder if this is .live now. Admin web dot document live. Do module. Yeah, fixed that one right up. Hey, Kevin. Yeah, so I'm definitely planning on essentially just creating a schema that models OT. So I'm not gonna be inventing anything. So I will need to marshal data into and out of this format, but it's like insert, retain, and delete. That's all I'm gonna do. Try to keep it Quill compatible. So one danger in Elixir is that you get very used to the apps that you are normally working in. So I keep trying to write one of my clients' app names, like it's EIP, it's not sensitive, but I keep trying to use that because that's the app I'm usually in. But it's supposed to be the app you're in, not just any app. Mount session params socket do. I'm not going to do anything fancy with that. Render signs. So this is the fun way of doing a template, where you just shove it in there as a function. And if we do that, again, excuse the cough. If I could stop, I would. Why not? No, this is a little bit too dirty for even for me. I think I'll do a hook, but we can start this. Just what am I doing? There. So then we tell live view, don't touch this, because it's our editor. I think there's been documentation for this, so. Assets, JavaScript, app. I think we can close those down. There are no hooks defined by default. So let hooks text editor let's see, video mounted let quill equal new quill this.l. So this is the JavaScript integration for live view. So if you're doing things that require custom JavaScript, you need to be able to integrate with custom JavaScript, and this is part of that. Hooks. I don't think they're very similar to React hooks, but I couldn't tell you because I've never used React hooks. Thank you, someone, for saving me some time here. I hope your stuff works. That's the potential concern. Yeah, I don't care about that. Sure, let's log it. Push event 2? Why not just push event? Mix live view push event. I have an appropriate non-alcoholic beverage. It is a non-alcoholic beer. So I should be in the clear. I don't think I need to pick a target. I don't think I like that. He might have components and stuff that I don't care about. So I'll just go text editor. Sure. Text content. Fill the get contents. No, I want to send the delta. Jeez. Jeez. That's literally why I have this editor. That should push the event to live view. Yeah, I don't care about updated hook. And then I need to take this, move down a bit, say, oh, aside from the params, you also want these hooks. Enjoy. Phoenix target hook. Name it text editor to match this. Don't know why Phoenix target. I don't actually recall what Phoenix target even is. For a client even to reach a command tag must be night. Okay, yeah, so that's for components. Don't care about that. This is just one big live view. Any questions are welcome. We'll see how this treats us. Brought in the CSS. Not overly concerned about this Heeks. Missing opening tag for dev. Oh. Beautiful. The best editor. Yeah, hitting that completely through an error. Unhandled or private. Handle event text editor delta. Yes, that's what we wanted. Perfect. So we need to handle an event. So I think we actually get multiple deltas there. Looks like a one delta with multiple ops. Type, hook, value. Hold on. Make sure I get this right. Delta ops. Okay. Okay, so now if I write something, I can do this. Now it's sending absolutely all the time. And on the server end, we might want to regulate that a little bit. So socket equals assign let's see, for example, changed is better than dirty, probably, even though I like dirty. Change the bounce. Let's say 500 milliseconds. Then that means hold on. Timer per lang. Can do send after. Time message. Time destination message. Send after. Does this always send to themselves? Like, but the send after. Yeah, that's for self. Okay. I've never used that. Actually, does process send after return an Erlang timer? I don't know. But what I want to do is just essentially debounce so that we don't persist every character typed, because that seems unnecessary. Send after returns a reference. Yep, okay. Persist timer nil. So when we get one of these, then we can build up a buffer of ops essentially. So when we get a message, regardless of anything, we will update our buffer to be socket assigns buffer. And now we're going to be a little bit fancy and just do one of the more effective ways of adding to a list in Elixir, especially if you're adding to the end, which is to build a list of lists of lists of lists, which is not particularly beautiful, but then you can just flatten them or do an IO list kind of deal with them. It's effective. So buffer changed true. Well, if it's, we don't need a boolean for that. If there's a persist timer, we know that it's true. It changed. So we do a timer is process spell. Send after send it to self after change the bounds. So if assigns persist timer and we also do process cancel timer. Regardless, we create a new timer and we add that. So now we save the buffer and then eventually we'll get a handle info persist socket do. I inspect list flatten socket that assigns the buffer. No reply socket. Well, at this point we should update the socket, empty the buffer to do persist. That's something we can do later. We should remove this timer. We don't care about it anymore. That's not how any of this is done. Sign socket. Forgot what I was doing. Can I? This is also not how it's done. There we go. Thought I saw an error scroll by, but maybe that was just my madness. Session is not used, params is not used. No, I don't expect to use them anytime soon, so let's do that. And just see what happens. Ooh. That did not seem to take. Oh, it didn't start in IEX as well. Always want to start in IEX because then you get type recompile when it's acting up. That's I try turning it off and on again. What am I missing? Well, destination is in the wrong order, so that causes some problems. There we go. That is more Elixir-like. Okay, already had foo bar. Bam. So now we can see that we get these operations, which are all sort of, there's a lot of redundant stuff in these operations. Now, time to bring in this stuff. So I'll use text delta, that seems fine. If for no other reason, even if we're gonna be talking to the JavaScript stuff with it, what this can do for us is compact before we store. So text delta don't remember if I've looked at this API. I think I have. So new, it's just operations, all of it. So transform creates and appends new retain operation to the delta. compose, creating. I believe composing will get us pretty much what we want. Lines. This is a little bit fun. It's not exactly the most clearly documented. That's like, I don't see a ton of examples here. Which is typically how I roll, but yeah, no examples. Tests. I think I've been in this library before, and I don't think it was all that easy to sort of see. It's trying to do science. It's not really what I'm trying to do. But okay, let's then, this was the flattened list. So ops IO inspect ops label buffered. Then we can do text delta. And we should be able to apply state and delta. Hold on, new. Create a new delta. Well, I guess we can create one. Let's try that. See what that gets us. Trims trailing retains from that given delta. Transform. No. All that stuff is this is like, oh, I'd like to pull some text from this. Is that something I can do? And it's like, of course you can. It's just not something they clearly cared too much about. Or I'm really missing something with regards to how they find it nice to create text for it. Iterator. Next. Set split sets. I'm a little bit stunned that there's just no information about like, oh, how do I turn this into a chunk of text? Because like, of course I can do it, which is annoying. I guess that's something we'll do now. Because if I do this and then we happily type a little bit, and then it gets a text delta like this. We should be able to slim this text delta down a ton. I don't think there's any reason why we should need to have it keep these operations. So maybe text delta operations will actually slim it down. Let's try it. Or it will literally do nothing. I'm not sure which way I believe most. Yeah, no, it kept everything. I guess that's what compose does, or apply potentially. Let's compose this with an empty nope, no difference. Because when I was looking at the slab one, oh, given this and then applying that comes this. It might be the case that I'll just switch to this library because it has slightly more documentation, which I, as a developer, appreciate sometimes. So there are a few libraries for this, and I knew that from before. My terminal really goes wild sometimes here. Incompatibility term, your app cause conflict, incompatibility, delta, cause no versions. What? Oh, it's, they list 0.3 in their docs and they only have published 0.2. That's a little odd. Ambitious, let's call it that. Documentation. So a delta is a bunch of inserts. So with this, honestly, the way we buffer might be to actually do delta compose assigns.buffer and ops. That way we don't have to do that. And that way we have this. See what we have here before we do anything further. Whoops. We can't find the internet. So that instantly goes to retain 39 bar. Oh yeah, and there it went foo. So we can start with that delta. Then we buffer them, and at that point we can do like delta equals delta compose ops delta delta. We should also be able to push events to the view, because we want to be able to push things back. Not there. This is what I want. So push event. Yep. So we want to push event actually at this point we should look at the Quill API content, delete text, get contents, insert text. Update contents. Applies delta to editor contents. So let's do start delta equals, and then delta insert. So we have an example of evolving something instead. Delta op.insert. Hello world. Hold true. That should give us the start delta, which should let us also. Can you push an event the first thing you do when starting a live view? I don't know. It's exciting. Callback, mount, takes an OK or an OK and keyword. Well, I guess the socket, can I push an event on that? We'll see. Guess we will find out. init delta. So I think something like that, and then a window event listener can listen for the event and conditionally execute the highlight command if they want. Oh, just Phoenix and oh, that's fun. Yeah, sure. Did I call the event init delta? I don't know what these backticks are about. Is this a JavaScript thing? Did they change the language again? Is it all backticks now? They sent an ID, so e.detail delta. Oh, yeah, so I should probably wrap this in something. If you have any questions, go right ahead. If you are watching, sound off in the chat. I know Norland and Kevin, you have been watching. Maybe you've given up on me at this point, but I'll forgive. Let's see, the ID is editor. Let's just do that. Hey, Rabbit's Foot. So, if we have this element, actually, this is what we want to do, because when it's mounted, we will see if this is fast enough. We should not have to do this stuff. We have this.el, and we have quill here. So the only thing we need to do quill take contents. E details delta. Yeah, and source is API, and that's appropriate. So we don't send the API one back to the server. And we can clear out this initial state. Just keep this empty. Compile error, document live, undefined function, push event, expected. Let's see. I don't have push event. Push event 3. Oh. This.handle event. It's probably nicer. Socket scores. Oh, I was doing crime there. So this is let's start with the init event and go from there. But then I can do a hook declared via Phoenix hook can handle via handle event. So list that handle event. See how that does. Like init delta undefined. Okay. Sweet. So we managed to do that, and then we crashed it on the persist, which is fine. I did something weird probably. So we can choose to buffer these, which might be worth doing. So I think at the point where we want to persist them, it's nice to have only the changes, so we don't have to try to figure out. Actually, we could compose them and just diff out the changes. Yeah, well, we can do this for now. It seems easy enough. But when we persist, apply delta. Well, the client already has this delta. We don't have to do much of anything with that. We just clear this. We built a new delta. My socket that assigns delta and by composing those two. So let's try this as a theory of, I mean, the idea is that we should be able to use this to do multiplayer editing. So let's get that working very locally first. Yes, I believe using CRDTs is overkill here, and using this on top of a database of CRDTs is double kill, double overkill, but also potentially interesting. In this case, I want to use, essentially I'm using operational transform or operational transformation as a kind of event sourcing. So my hope is to write those as entries in the database, and if I just read all the entries for a particular document from the database and treat them as operations, I can recreate the document. And if the database sends me new rows, I'll be able to just reread them and reapply them and probably have it working. One tricky bit can be the ordering. So ordering can be very important and ordering can be very tricky. We'll see. I think there are ways to do it. That's the hope. So if I wanted to do, Now I'm gonna try to do this endpoint subscribe. Deltas. Ops. So if we get a message full of ops, we should be able to take whatever is in. I don't know if we want to compose. I think we can just apply. Oh. Maybe it doesn't matter. I composed the buffer. When I persist, maybe I should just apply. Let's check. YouTube says it's not receiving enough video to ensure smooth streaming. Are you seeing any disturbances with the stream? It looks fine to me. Just trying to see if everything's working. Are there any disturbances on the stream? Okay, maybe internet had hiccups. Thank you, Rabbit's Foot. It's helpful when you report back on that. Yeah. I mean, it's the internet, blips can happen. So push. I don't know what push means. Slice max. Sure. Glad there's no issues then there. This whole transform and stuff. Yeah, that's... I think compose implicitly does some of that. We'll see. But if I receive some ops over here, so, oh, I should also, when I persist, then I should add web.broadcast deltas ops. Well, oh yeah, we compose that over time, so attempt to reconnect. So admin web, oh, dot endpoint. That do it? What is that? Okay, so Phoenix endpoint has some callbacks that are generated. I usually just use Phoenix pub sub, whatever, topic, event, message. Have I forgotten how to use pub sub? Oh, I'll just do this then. Phoenix.pubsub broadcast. I'm gonna pub sub. This is how I usually do it. It's fine. No function clause matching. Ops. Yada yada yada. Oh, I did a handle event. That's not what handle info is what I did. That was broadcast. Ah, but thing is, need to update the socket, and this cannot be sort of live rendered by LiveView because we told LiveView don't touch this editor because we need to track the changes, which is special. So we need to push event. Apply delta. Delta delta. So you can delta while you delta. Oh, oops. Excuse the cough. So apply delta, and that shouldn't be update contents. It should be something else. Well, no, it should be update contents. That should work great. That did not do the correct thing. Huh. That's interesting. So now it's fine. Do that. Oh, you know what it is? Or what one thing is, it's subscribing to itself. We should probably include some information here so we can disregard our own messages. broadcast that persist, we should include our own PID, just so people can know. And if we say add a little bit of a delay between these two, let's say we have a kind of sleep 5000 before we send these out. I can write this is great and pretty good. I'm curious what this will result in. This is great, pretty good, and this. Yeah, I'm not sure if I was stripping new lines anywhere. I don't think so, but that was not perfect. Perfect was not what it was. So this probably has something to do with how I'm logicking here. So we start with a delta. Each side produces some changes. I think one problem is that I keep sort of composing down, which makes it challenging, because it should be fine that ops arrive out of order. And they should always sort of come in right before our own ones. Because this is kind of what you don't want as an outcome. Okay, let's see. The weirdest part to me is like in all of these cases, I almost never see anyone note like how are you supposed to be applying these properly. There's usually very little documentation, and I wonder if it's because you're expected to read all about how Quill does it. Maybe. Delta. So unregister listener for Quill's text change events. I wonder if this explains the use of it. Canonical, yes, yes. Mm. Yada yada. Okay, all deltas end with a new line. First, we should be clear that an index must refer to its position in the document before any operations are applied. Otherwise, a later operation may delete a previous insert. Da, 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 da. Mm-hmm. But so I know the idea is if you have these, then you can sort of converge. That's the whole point, and we did just not converge that moment ago, and I'm sure I did something wrong to get us there, but I don't see what. So converging, that's the hard part. So we're building a small distributed system. Congratulations. I played myself again. If we make it slightly simpler and defer any of this, the bouncing, and we take the ops we get, and we do no, we update the delta by doing delta compose socket science delta ops. Then that will be that one, and I mean it should also broadcast these ops. And if it's getting ops, you grab its current delta, compose those ops onto it, and be happy. Actually, this is interesting. What? We apply that there, we apply that there. Probably our editor and our server state should be the same. So Let's try something. Oh, broken. Handle event callback. Oh. Oh. If we introduce delay. Oh, I'm so lost right now. I've triggered a lot of delays. And nothing is getting through quickly because and it's stopped being responsive enough. This is good. Poor thing, I ruined it. Okay. Messaging delays is essentially what I want to do. So I'll just start a task that shoves this off into there. And then this is great. Or at least pretty good. Nailed it, right? I need sleep. I think this is perfect. What the hell am I doing? All right. I think buffering the ops was perhaps a good idea. So I think building this composed buffer of ops. And then so this will just essentially simulate that the network is not great where we are. It's just not something you should rely on. This is great. I love it. This is still kind of picking up its own thing. Just surprising. Wrote this is great, and I wrote I love it. This has gotten I love it, which is correct. This has gotten I love it twice. So I still think it's getting its own messages. Or I'm doing something else that's weird. I like this. This is good. Yeah, not a single sign of it ignoring its own message, right? So ops self ops. Oh, I broke that. My head. The task has its own PID, so that's a different process entirely. So that part was broken by that change. This is great. I love it. It's reversing them, which is upsetting. So that probably means before applying it, I do need to transform it. Transforms give a delta against another operations. Okay. So we would take so in this example, A is inserted, and then B, and then it retains, then C. No, so it creates a delta that will leave A alone, which makes sense for this case then. Oops, delta dot transform. Do that, and then see if that behaves itself. This is great. I love this. Wild. I had a backspace in there as well. I'm just gonna see what it does more normally. This is great. I love this. So now it adds a new line, that's about it. Nailed it. I wonder if it helps if I make sure it has a new line at the end, because that's according to spec. So if I look at the thing, I'm typing this is great. Then it is when it's buffered down, it does retain, which is it's same in the hello world. And then it does this. Bye, Rabbit's Foot. Thanks for watching. We shall wrap up quite soon, I think. Yep. I'm gonna be recording regular programming soon. So. And there comes I love this. And if we look at that, it's a retain 13. Da, 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 da. So actually we can probably play with these a little bit. D1 equals D2 equals. Base one is an insert hello world, and then scrolling back up we had this. Oh, what did I copy here? That wasn't what I'm just gonna do. So this essentially. Grab these. Let's do some terminal. I have D. Oh, no, I have base. D1, D2. Import delta. So if I do compose base D1, that will give me hello world. This is great. If I do the same with D2, that's going to be that. So this is D2A. And if I do compose D2, D2A, D1, it's gonna go, this is great, I love this. But if I do D1A, which is compose base D1, and I do compose D1A, D2A, I love this, this is great. D2A, D1A, this is great, I love this. No, it also duplicates hello worlds, that's no good. Diff Is that a thing? Delta dot compose all. So if I have D2, well, I have D1A and I want to apply D2. So if I do compose D1A and apply D2, I get hello world, I love this. This is great. But from my perspective, from the perspective of D1, D2 arrived later. So D2T, let's transform D2 based on D1A, right? No, other way around. Take D1A, transform D2 based on that. Then it's saying avoid this. Is it the case that operational transformation requires the server to do total ordering? Because if that's the case, we might actually not be able to do it without CRDTs. Total order. Yeah, this would have been good to look at earlier. Oh, yes. So this is why we can't do it this way. Because you can make operational transformation work really nicely for text editing, but it requires a total order. That is, if the server says, if you keep a server that says, okay, you were right first, you were right second, you can always determine the order and always fix it. So doing this, now D2T can apply cleanly on top of D1A. This is great. I love this. But we can't. What? No, this does that did not apply cleanly worth a damn. I love this. This is great. No, that's no good. How did I transform it? So D1A, that's hello world. This is great. And this one says skip 41 characters, so skip all that. Or and then that seems like it would work. But I find this suspicious. Why is it retain 13 there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that one's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh, this is just one. Oh, 16 or 17. Huh. Still clearly missing something. Well, D2. What other operations do we have here? Compact. Well, before applying anything, it needs to be compacted, I think. So D2C would be compact D2, which is fine, but then we do the transform. So then we need to compact the D2T. No? So if we do this and then compact, no? I don't understand where that retain 13, how come that survives? Because it's writing all of these out and then it's retaining 13, which doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I'm so lost on this, honestly. These ops, they make sense on top of the base. So we transform D2 on D1. And D1 on D2. How is that so wildly different? Okay. Anyway, so reading up a bit on operational transformation, yeah, no, I can't really do it with that approach. And if I thought about it a little bit more, I would have known that. Smart cookie. So today we learned about why distributed systems are hard and why you should avoid managing them yourself at all costs. So in essence, I guess that's a pretty good pitch for why Electric SQL should do that work for you. Shill successful. I hope you enjoyed watching me flail and fail. That happens now and then. I'm not overly concerned. I hope you are not either. And I hope you have a good rest of the afternoon. So, thanks for watching. Stay curious out there.